I vaguely recall Dr. Andreas Ernst had his hand up, so Andreas, thank you very much, and don't forget those others who had their hands up. Your turn is next.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. As some of you know, I've been living with my family in Hillwood for the last nearly 20 years. By background, I'm a specialist in occupational and environmental medicine, and I've done plenty of risk assessments nationally and internationally, and I add to some of the things which have been said. But first and foremost, it has been said by the first speaker that the truth has been hidden away from you. I'd like to take it one step further. I actually believe you have been told lies. I know that there are a lot of people who would not want to speak right now the language I will speak because they are worried that their fate will be the same as those 20 who are currently, or it's 50 now, who have been sued by a company for saying what they want to say. What we're talking about goes way beyond the pulp mill. This is about democracy and freedom of speech. I have in my files, and these files, they fill up a whole room by now, and I haven't been given funding from the government to do this work. I have in that file a letter from the proponent where it says pulp mills, yes, they have smelled historically, but they're old pulp mills, more than 50 years old. It says in that same letter that modern pulp mills don't smell. It says they've actually mentioned 3 pulp mills. Stendal in Germany is one of them. And they say they haven't been associated with any smell. I have done my own research, and I can show you from Stendal, the pulp mill itself, that they have had an excellent performance on a number of environmental parameters. However, as far as smell is concerned, odour is concerned, that was one of their number 1 problems. And so, as far as I'm concerned, we've been told untruthful things here. The IIS. The IIS is all about assessing risk. And we've been given reassurances that there won't be any environmental adverse impact. And the same for health. We've been told about air emissions, they're going to be negligible. We heard similar things for the marine environment, we heard similar things for traffic, and we heard similar things for various other exposures. I can say from my own research that it says in their own, it actually says that the model they've used gets it wrong 10 times out of 12. It actually says it in their own model. Now think about that. If I, as a doctor, take your blood pressure and I tell you, you have got no hypertension, don't worry, and the equipment gets it wrong 9 times out of 10, what would you say? And that is the sort of science what we have been presented with. And more importantly, I've only looked at a few issues, and one of them was in detail air emissions and the other one odour. And as you can see, modern pulp mills, they smell and they pollute the air. And the model has been basically a crap model. It doesn't predict, it tells you not the truth. However, when you now have a look at the pattern, there are a lot of other independent, and that's important, independent experts and organisations, and I list a few of them: the CSIRO, the Tasmanian Medical Association. There are individuals like Dr. Rabbity and many others. And they have concluded firmly that the models which are used, whether that's economics, about jobs, whether it's about social impact, whether it's about health impacts, whether it's about ocean, marine environment impacts, the models are flawed. Professor Watsley has recently come up with a paper which demonstrated that the emissions from, as far as furans and dioxins are concerned, they are underestimated by a factor of 1,000. For you living here, the estimates for particulate pollution in Launceston, it underestimates it by 500%. That's in their own model. I can show it to you. It's written in their own IRS that it actually underestimates by up to 600% for the area here. So I have got no confidence in this IRS, and therefore the whole process hasn't convinced me and others. World's best practice, let me just say a few things about that. What help is it to have world's best practice if it still smells? You can also argue that whaling, Japanese whaling, that's world's best practice. Yeah, they catch them, but that doesn't mean it's right. And last not least, process and democracy. 70% of Tasmanians, for many years now, have said we want an end to clear felling and slash and burn forestry practices. We still support forestry, but these practices, that's third world and we don't want it. Tasmanians have said so. 70% of Tasmanians have said we don't agree with the assessment bill. We believe in the RPDC independent process, but we don't agree with what you're doing with us now. And last not least, more than 50% of Tasmanians don't want this pulp mill. So what the heck is going on with our politicians? How is it possible that we have a Labour Party and they are not listening to you? I can possibly understand that because they wanted to have it in the first place. But what I don't understand is, and I ask Mr. Will Hodgman the question, you are our opposition leader. What are you doing to provide, in a democracy, an alternative for the majority of people? And he failed us, as he said, and my advice to you is think very carefully in future where you put your tick on the box.